Hi everyone, welcome to the Codersarts YouTube channel. In today's video, we'll be learning about what are servers, especially what are SMTP servers, and how we can use NodeMailer as a service to send OTPs to someone's email ID and also verify those emails. So let's get started. Okay, so let's first look into what are servers. So we have different type of servers like HTTP servers, SMTP server, FTP and DNS servers. So let me explain you these servers, and we will mostly focusing on SMTP servers. So first we have HTTP servers, which we create in our backend to communicate with the front end. So whenever you make any request from the front end or client, the request goes to the backend, where it processes the request and send back you a response. So this is a simple HTTP servers where front end communicates with the back end, and whenever there's a request or like request for data or something happens, the backend responds with some data. So this is a simple HTTP server. The second one is SMTP servers. This is a protocol, or you can say it's a set of rules that is written to send mails, or like how the mails will be sent to a service provider. So SMTP servers specially used for sending mails. Now we have third kind of server, which is FTP, which is basically used for sending files. So whenever there is a file transfer happening over the internet, then FTP servers plays a crucial role over there. Now fourth one is the DNS servers. So these are so you can think of it like, so whenever we make any request, like we go to www.google.com, so under the hood there is an IP address that is being called. So www.google.com goes to the DNS server. Over there it processes the IP address, then it redirects the request to the IP address that is attached to that particular domain name. So DNS server is used for those purposes, like to process the request and redirecting the user or like the request to a certain IP addresses. Now let's talk more about the SMTP server and what's its use case. So SMTP stands for Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, or you can think of it as a certain rules written to send mails. Just like HTTP server has certain rules, same is the case with SMTP. So here also we have certain rules that are written for sending mails. It's basically used to send email between client to server and server to server. And also we have different providers, like Gmail has its own SMTP server, we have Microsoft's Outlook has its own server, we have Mailgun, SandGrid, Zoho and much more. Now you might be thinking, how does it work? Okay, so it takes the sender's email and recipient's email and the message content. I'll be showcasing these things in the demo section, where I will be using Gmail's SMTP server and sending an email. So it takes these three things, then it connects to the recipient's server, like the person who will be receiving the email, like it connects to their SMTP server and sends email directly over the internet. But you might be thinking, how it's possible that like if that's the case, then anyone can directly send the mail. That's not the case, because it requires user ID and password. Like if I am sending the mail to someone, now it will require my email ID and password, or my username and password, so that it can send mail to the person whose email I have provided. So because of this authentication, it protects the user email ID from spamming and different other things. And there are certain ports on which you can call those requests. So we have ports like port 25, which is a default SMTP port, and we have port 587 for sending secure emails, and we have different other ports. So this is all about the SMTP server and how we can use it for sending emails. Now let's move on to the NodeMailer section, like what NodeMailer is and how it works. NodeMailer is a module for Node.js application that enables easy mail sending. I know it's a very big jargon, you won't be able to understand this thing. So you can think of it as a middleman or a person which facilitates. So if a client send a request to the backend, now NodeMailer processes that particular request and calls a SMTP server which sends mail on your behalf. So it abstracts away the complexity of SMTP communication, making it developer friendly. Now what are the key features? So NodeMailer support plain text, HTML and attachments also. Like I will be showing you how I am sending HTML tags to someone's email, and it works with SMTP, OAuth 2, and even services like Gmail and Outlook. We will be using Gmail in our case. And here's a like, you can think of it like it's a middleman between your app and the SMTP server. So as I have mentioned earlier, whenever client sends a request, it goes to the backend. Node Miller process that request, and on behalf of your backend server, it calls a recipient's SMTP server. It can be Gmail, it can be SandGrid, Zoho, Microsoft, anyone. So it calls their SMTP server, give your username and password, verify your identity, then it sends mail to the recipient's email ID. Now let's move on to the demo section, and I will show you how this overall things work. Let me show you how it works, like whatever I have explained you, like how NodeMiller is sending. So let's verify all of those things with a simple demo. So I have created the simple front end and a back end. I will be also showcasing you the code base. So first you have to enter your email ID to get an OTP. So I'm writing my email ID, and I will click on send email or send OTP. Saying sending OTP sent successfully, please check your mail. And if I just go to my mail, as you can see, I got a mail, verify your OTP. I will click on this, I will get an OTP, and I will just copy this OTP from here. I will paste it over here, click on verify OTP, verification successful, you can now proceed. As you can see, I have been verified. So this was the overall thing that I was saying about. So I have used SMTP server over here and NodeMiller to verify all of these things. Now let me just show you the code base also, so that you will get more idea like how this is working. Okay, so this is the code base that I have written. So let me give you a walkthrough. So we have simple Express server. We have imported NodeMailer, which is basically used to send facilitate communication between SMTP server and the backend. We have this .env to import the environment variables, cross origin file, like sending files to cross origins. We have path, basically all over the front end that you are seeing, it's basically rendered from the backend only. And this is for simple, like to managing the things. For managing the responses, we have used this thing. Configured the .env, initialize the Express, few middlewares, which you can also write if you want. After that, a simple OTP. We are not using any database or anything like that. We are just storing the OTPs over here only. This is the generate OTP function, which basically generates a random OTP. After that, this is the main section where we have written the code for SMTP. So firstly, we have to create the transport. So let me explain this code as well. So we have created a variable called transport. Inside that, we have used NodeMailer.create transport. Like transport, you can say as a container or as a postman, which will contain all of the information, like from where the site is coming, who is sending this request, and these kind of things, like your user ID and password, all of these things. So we are saying the host name will be smtp.gmail.com because we are using Gmail service. So we have mentioned Gmail. If you are using Outlook, you can use Outlook, and any other services if you are using, you can use that as well. Here we are saying which port we have to use. So in the video, I have explained you like there are different ports like 27 or 587. So 587 was a secured way of sending emails. After that, we have said secure will be false, like you have to make this false so that you can just send mail. After that, we have given auth. So over here we have given user and password. All of these variables are stored in environment variable. So I will also let you know how you can get all of those things. After that, a simple request that sends the index.html, and this is the port for sending OTPs. So whenever a request came over here, it takes the email ID of the user. If there's no email ID, that it sends the error message. After that, it generates the OTP, generates the expiring time, like it's a 5 minute. Then after that, it stores the OTP in the variable that we have created over here. After that, it creates an HTML. As I have mentioned in my previous section also, you can send plain text, HTML, or whatever you want to send. So here I have created an HTML content which I want to send to the user's email. So this is for that. After that, we have to create, like, you can either write this whole thing over here as well. Just to make things more simpler, I have created over here. So here we have to mention who is sending the email. So from, like, the user's email ID to whom you have to send, what will be the subject, and what will be the HTML content. After that, you are calling this method function. So we are saying transport dot send mail and this mail option. So I like this transport is basically this one. So we are calling this along with this information. So now this will, if this is correct, it will send mail to the user's email ID. If it's wrong, then you will get certain errors. But I hope you have understood like how this thing is working, how we have used Gmail's SMTP server over here. If you want to use Mailgun or Zoho or any other, you can just use this thing over here, and you can also get email ID and password from there as well. After that, we have one more request to verify the OTP. So whenever users enter the OTP, this request get this API endpoint get called. Over here, if we are getting the email ID and OTP, we send. If we are not getting, then we just send both are required, and after that we verify the request and send back like you have verified the OTP and these kind of things. So I hope you have understood like how we are using node mailer. So the main thing over here is just this section. So first we have to create transport, and after that we have to call this function where we are saying who will send the email, to whom we have to send the email, what will be the subject, and what will be the content. So over here I have used HTML. If you want to use plain text, you can just use text or different other things. Same is the case with if you want to use with Outlook, Mailgun, or different other, you can use their SMTP server. Now if I just show you my .env file, so you can see it's look like this. Firstly, it's the port simple. After that we have SMTP host. So we are mentioning we want to use Gmail's SMTP port. 587 is for like is considered secure for sending emails. We are sending SMTP secure false, because if we make it true, then we won't be able to send mails. After that, your email ID which you want to use to send the mail, and your app password. Basically, app password is not considered secure for the production ones, but for the development purpose, for testing purpose, you can use app password. But when you move to the production version, then you have to use Google's OAuth client, because in the recent time Google won't recommend less secure apps to access their Gmail account. So it always recommended when you are working in the production environment, go with the Google's OAuth. If you need a video like how you can get that thing, just let me know in the comment section. I will make a separate video on that, like how you can configure that OAuth and get the ID and password from there. So just let me know in the comment section. I will make a video for that as well. But for the testing purpose, for the development purpose, and just to get started the things in a more quicker way, you can go ahead with the app password as well. There's no big deal with that. So this is overall the structure that I want to share with you, like how you can generate app password, or simply how you can use SMTP and proceed with the OTP section. Now you might have these common questions in your mind, but if you don't like, if your questions are not mentioned over here, just let me know in the comment section. I will try to answer all of those questions also. So the first question that you might have is that why use app password for Gmail? So as I have mentioned earlier, whenever we are sending mail to the user, we need to authenticate ourselves that yes, we are a genuine person. We have to give our username and password, so that SMTP server can verify us that this particular request is genuine, and they can authorize this person to send email to the user. So for those reasons, we have to give our username and password. And regarding this app password, to get the thing started quickly or for the development purpose, it's recommended generally to use app password so that you can just get started with the things. But for the production version, it's always recommended to go with the, you can say, OAuth, generate OAuth client, and use that, because Google won't recommend or won't let the unsecured or less secured app to send mail to the user. So for the app like app password is generally recommended for the development purpose or for testing one, but when you are going for the production one, then it's always recommended to go ahead with the OAuth client or generate OAuth client. The second question that you might have is, why do we need SMTP? Why can't we use node mailer directly? So as I have mentioned earlier, node mailer is just a library or a service that we use to communicate with SMTP servers. So suppose users send their email, our backend process that request, give us a user's email. Now we use node mailer to call the user's respective uh, SMTP server. So suppose if user has a Gmail account, then we call Gmail's SMTP server, and our node mailer calls that SMTP server. Like, we can't directly send request from our backend to the like user's email account. Our node mailer takes those information like user's email account, who is sending, like recipients or the person who is sending, their email account, their user ID and password, and whom we have to send that particular email. It collects all of these information, then it calls the SMTP server. SMTP server takes those requests and send it to the user's inbox. So you can think of it as SMTP as a postman, and node mailer is a person. Node mailer is basically sending the letter to the postman, which is an SMTP server. Now that postman delivers that particular email ID or letter to the respective user. Now the third question that you might have is, can node mailer work without SMTP? So the answer is no, node mailer cannot work without SMTP. As I have mentioned earlier, node mailer is just a library which facilitates SMTP to send emails. Like, node mailer calls SMTP. It don't directly send request to uh, or it don't directly send message to user's email. It facilitates SMTP, then SMTP send request to user's email account. Now the fourth question that you might have is there any other SMTP server provider that works same as Google and Outlook? So the answer is yes. We have different service provider that works same as Yahoo or like Outlook and Google. So we have Yahoo Mail. So Yahoo has its own SMTP server, which is like smtp.mail.yahoo.com. We have Zoho, like smtp.zoho.com. Apart from this, we also have SandGrid, Mailgun. We also have AWS SEC, Simple Email Service. So we have different service providers. It's just that they have their own dedicated SMTP server, which we can facilitate to send emails. Fifth question is there any limit to use Google's SMTP server? So the answer is obviously yes, because we can't just spam the user's email account with just random mail. So there is a certain limit which we have to follow. Like for free account, we can just send around 200 emails per day. And if we have taken the Google's Workspace, which is a paid account, so for that account, you can just send between 2,000 to 15,000 emails per day, depending upon your plan. And even for sending a mail, you have to do a two-factor authentication and different other things. So there is a certain way, like there is a certain limit which we can't just cross to send mail. Otherwise, our emails just will start going to spam, or like Google will start blocking us. So obviously, yes, there is a certain limit which we have to follow when we are sending email to the client. If we are using free plan, then it's around 500 emails per day. And if we have taken the paid plan, so for that one, the limit is somewhere around 2,000 to 15,000 based on the plan that we have chosen. Now, if you don't want to follow this thing, then you can use other SMTP server provider. They have their own limits, so you can check that as well. Now the last question that you might have is, can we create our own SMTP server to send mails? The answer is obviously yes, you can create your own SMTP server, but is that what's the use case that you want to serve? Because creating your own SMTP servers comes with a lot of issues. The main issue or the main challenge you will be facing is the delivery of email. Because in the starting, when you have created your own SMTP server, the reputation of your IP address will be very poor. So whenever you're sending mail to someone, most probably your email will directly go to the spam folder, or either Google might block your as a request or mail, because your IP address is not that like you can say old. So the reputation, to make the reputation of certain IP address is very crucial. Apart from that, if Google feels, or any other service provider feels that this IP address might feel suspicious, then you might not be able to send the request. Along with this, the technical complexity of creating our own SMTP server is very high, so you also have to think that thing in mind. Apart from that, infrastructure cost will be there, anti-spamming compliances you have to take, so that your mails don't get blocked, or they don't reach in the spam folder. You want to reach to the user's inbox, so you also have to keep that thing in mind when creating your own SMTP server. But if you are sorted with all of these things, then it's possible, and yes, you can create your own SMTP server. But but if the use case is served by any other third party tool, then you can go ahead with that. But if you're facing some issue that I want this feature, then obviously yes, you can create your own SMTP server. I hope I have catered all of your problems that you have in your mind, and if I have missed something, just let me know in the comment section. I will try to answer all of those questions. Now if you have any questions or any queries, do follow us on our social media handles. Links will be available in the description, and you can message us over there as well. We will try to help you with any problem that you're facing. Now if you are thinking of to build your product or build an MVP, or you in general, if you have any idea in your mind that you want to convert into an actual products, Codersarts is with you. We will help out our clients to deliver a full-fledged product into the market, also helping them to scale that particular product. So if you're just thinking of building something, or converting your idea into an actual MVP, then just let us know. You can mail us on contact@codersart.com. We will reach you out soon. So that's all from my side. See you in the next video.